Mail-in voter fraud. Right. Why don't our liberal so-called countrymates acknowledge that mail-in voter fraud is rampant, widespread, and undeniable? Is it just because, as they say, there isn't any so-called, quote, evidence of it? Sounds like a lot of cultural Marxism and lies from the cultural elite intelligentsia, if you ask me. And I'm not alone, because the brilliant Mark Meadows, Dear President's Chief of Staff of the Week, put it perfectly on CNN recently. Just because you have no evidence to prove something, that doesn't mean it's not possible. Roll that clip, Chad.
There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud, though. But there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud.
There's no evidence that there's not either. That's the definition of fraud, Jake.
Mark Meadows is right, of course. Lack of evidence is actually evidence itself, right? Sure, we have no evidence that eating our own feces turns you into an immortal, half-unicorn, half-human life form, but we also don't have evidence that it doesn't, so why not belly up to the bowl and throw a few turds down your throat like my pelican cousins? There's also no evidence that sticking your fingers in a light socket right after you lick them won't make you see the future. So who could blame you for giving yourself a little jolt just to see? Why are liberals so afraid of freedom that they just smugly tell us we shouldn't believe things just because we have no evidence for them? It's like trickle-down economics. Of course it works, because Rush Limbaugh and a bunch of nerds at think tanks funded by Wall Street and banks have told me it works. Why would I demand things like evidence that it works? The point, of course, is that if blind faith is good enough for Jesus, and it's good enough for an even higher power, capitalism, then surely it's good enough for all Americans, even the liberal ones who technically probably aren't really American anyway. Good night, folks.